Isha. Welcome to Spotlight. And today we have on our spotlight a man who is an engineer, innovator, education reformist. I think he has actually taught us to see and feel education in a very different way, innovation in a way nobody even talked about. And of course, he's contributed so much to India, especially to Ladakh, with his wonderful, first of all, his unique school, which is SICOL, which is Students' Educational and Cultural Movement of Ladakh, or with the Operation New Hope, or with his genius innovation iStupa for the people of Ladakh, which obviously got a lot of global recognition. And to name the least, he was also an inspiration. He was also the inspiration for the character of Amir Khan in Three Idiots. He has won so many awards like Global Award for Sustainable Architecture, Rolex Awards for Enterprise, Ashoka Fellowship for Social Entrepreneurship, Raman Magse Award for his very, very exceptional work. And of course, he's continuing to do that right now. I am talking about Sonam Wangchuk. We are so happy to talk to him. Radio Zindagi has been trying to get him. And finally, we got him here, sir. Welcome to Radio Zindagi Spotlight. So glad we have you today on our show.
Thank you very much, people living overseas there. I'm happy to connect to you from the mountains of Ladakh.
Yes. I want to start by asking you, how are you coping with this pandemic?
In Ladakh, we have had quite a few cases, even if we are quite secluded up in the mountains, mainly because of some returning pilgrims from Iran. And then it spread with other, workers coming up from outside, our own students returning. But people are recovering very fast. And just 2 days ago, I saw that Ladakh was the topmost region in recovery rate in India, followed by New Delhi. If that's something good, I don't know.
That is amazing. So I want to talk about your journey. I want to talk about so many things. Let's talk about what happened after Three Idiots to Ladakh. It's like people figured out, oh my God, Ladakh is also a tourist destination, and after Three Idiots in 2009, you will not believe Ladakh tourism just went like, it just shot up. Like 2001 was 1,79,491 tourists. To 2018, it was 3,27,366 tourists. And the Pangong Lake, which is obviously the key, which was the attraction, they were like yellow scooters all over. But what people did not realize, that the yellow scooters were also there flooding with pictures, but also the garbage, the wastage, everything was also flooding Ladakh. I'm going to come to 2019 and 2020, but tell me, how did it impact the ecological system of Ladakh in those years, particularly on those years?
So yeah, Ladakh is a very fragile and sensitive region. It's a desert, high altitude ecology. So it has a carrying capacity that is limited. Add to that, when it is not very well planned, the tourism happens in concentrated doses in the city of Leh, which is like 5 square kilometers in area. You get this 3 lakh people landing. And this Pangong, of course, thousands of people almost every day. So it was a challenge with a lot of garbage that would come for the tourists, and the unpreparedness of the local system to deal with it. So yes, it was an abrupt explosion of tourism, but more than that, I think I have problems with not being able to manage it properly. Yeah? So if we spread out the tourism into different regions, even the region where the lake is, we could have had lesser, toxic effect on concentrated places. So in future also we should try and spread out the tourism, and that's what we are doing with our alternative university, which has a responsible tourism course, to help other villages and other regions of Ladakh to get the benefit of tourism, and for tourists to get to see more of Ladakh than this one or two places. So both are very important, and we are working on it. So if it is spread out, we can absorb even 5 times more tourists, but that takes a very good management plan. Then that's what is now on the cards.
Yeah. And people don't realize when tourism is there, where people are actually going and visiting Ladakh, they are taking couples of bottles of water, plastic bottles, and then they accumulate, and it will become a new pandemic if we don't actually pay attention to it. But let me come to 2019 and 2020, where figures were comparatively very low, because 2019 had election, a major airline did not work, it went out of work. So the 50% percentage was dropped in tourism. And obviously, we all know 2020's pandemic. So you think these 2 years can compensate what has happened in past decade? Do you think so? It's going to recover Ladakh a bit?
No, and yes, but it's not good to first raise expectations and therefore infrastructure also, and then leave people high and dry. It should have been better planned already, so that we limit how many we take and prepare good infrastructure for that many numbers. If you prepare the place for 3 lakh and then you get only 1 lakh, it does affect the people who have already gotten into the system. So I think we should actually limit number of tourists coming to Ladakh and give them very good service, very good experience, and keep that number steady for more years than just leave it to rise and fall abruptly.
All right. So another one thing I wanted to ask you, that in past 5 years, Ladakh has seen this bike culture. And I'm not talking about the cycle one, which you are getting us to, but I'm talking about the bike. YouTubers are going on bike and riding all over the Ladakh and showing us, and I'm guilty watching them because I do want to visit Ladakh. Do you ever see India, and because of which the pollution is also high because you're biking, it's not electric. Do you see India ever getting onto electric bikes or cars ever? Do you see that moment happening? I know you're trying, you're pushing, and you're explaining, educating all of us to use electric bikes. But do you see, in a larger perspective, do you see that's happening in India?
Yeah, if enough people, particularly those who influence young people, opt for these cleaner means, I think in India, role modeling is very strong. So people could switch over if enough of a critical mass of influencing people do it. And I'm hopeful that this can be done, not only for Ladakh, but for the cities in India, which are really becoming unlivable. So I want to see a day when more and more people take to bicycles, and thereby the air becomes more and more breathable, and that opens the gate for even more bicyclists once the air is little cleaner at this critical mass. So I, for one, want to believe this is possible and keep trying. Even in Ladakh, we are working, and this year, I don't know how, there's a whole flood of bicycles. All young people are buying bicycles. Stores are sold out. Even their broken ones are sold out. Young people are taking to bicycles like never before. And I think Ladakh at 12,000 feet can set an example for the rest of the country and the world. If people at those heights are happily biking, what is wrong with you?
That's true. That is true. And now, of course, Ladakh is also autonomous post Article 370. Do you see any major changes happening, or do you see anything which has add on to Ladakh after that?
I hope to see. It's yet to, show much of the changes. But now we are not a remote part of some entity. We are the entity. We are the center of ourselves. So therefore, attention will be more on Ladakh by Ladakhi people planning. So therefore, I'm sure things will improve. One of the reasons why COVID was very well arrested in Ladakh was because all the system, administration were all actively taking control of the situation, whereas earlier we were like a tiny district, tiny in population, I mean, of a state that was itself somewhat off the mainstream. So we were like, from the other side of the world.
Yeah. Talking about other side of the world, let's shift your world when you were very small. You started with, you started your education, or you also felt alien somehow. You started with Srinagar, you went to France. So you see, there's like that's a world itself. But tell me, आप इतने जगह पे आपने education लिया, कौन सी वो जगह थी where you felt like this has given me more knowledge, innovation wise or like architecture wise? What was that place which made you feel like, okay, I need to do something?
Oh, each place was important in their own ways. In Srinagar, I had very bad teachers. It was the darkest time of my year, but then that's what inspired me to work in the field of education, because I could see what a bad school can do. Teachers who are not sensitive can do the harm they can do. And then in Delhi, I was in a school for border areas, which was the best experience in my life, and I could see what good teachers can do also. So these shaped my future choices of activism that I took on. Then in engineering, it was full of things that I was really interested in: solar energy, renewable energies of all kinds. Then in France, it was about the material, whereas in Kashmir, in engineering, it was about the energy sources. In France, I studied about earth or soil as a building material. Studied further. I was already building with mud then. And now I'm trying to make the most of all of this put together so that, mud buildings become the ultra-modern, post-modern material that is beyond modern. Very ecological, very comfortable, and above all, abundant and free for everyone to afford, right under your feet. Similarly, powered by sun, these buildings, even in cold regions like Ladakh, can give you temperatures in polar winters of Ladakh the same as you would have in New Delhi or New York, with no power, no pollution, no bills to pay. So all these are coming together, the pieces of the puzzle.
That's nice. Tell me one thing, आपको जो उस समय लगता था कि स्कूल में ये चीज चेंज होनी चाहिए in education system, but sadly वो अभी भी exist करती है. Somehow you feel अभी भी वो चीज है. Is there anything you feel should change now?
बिल्कुल, सब कुछ चेंज ही होने की जरूरत में है. हम यहाँ पर प्रयोग करते आए हैं, एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करते आए हैं, और हमें बहुत पता लग रहा है कि होनहार बच्चे तो छोड़िए, जो नालायक कहलाए जाते हैं उनमें भी बहुत कुछ अंदर है और वो बहुत कर सकते हैं. तो इस सिस्टम को बदलना होगा ताकि हम बिना कारण के खामखा आधे बच्चों को नालायक बना के छोड़ देते हैं, एक तरह से हैंडीकैप कर देते हैं स्कूल के अंदर. उनके क्यूरियोसिटी को मार डालते हैं, उनके इनिशिएटिव को खत्म कर देते हैं, फिर उनके बाद उनको एक ठप्पा लगा के छोड़ देते हैं कि आप फेलियर्स हो या आप टॉपर्स नहीं हो. तो ये सब बदलने की जरूरत है, मगर उसके लिए स्कूल या टीचर्स या प्रिंसिपल्स को बदलने से ज्यादा लोगों को और उनकी मानसिकताओं को, माइंडसेट्स को बदलने की जरूरत है. जब माइंडसेट्स बदलेंगे तो बदलाव खुद ही आ जाती है. तो फिर तो सरकार भी वही करती है जो लोगों की चाहत हो. तो ये चाहत लोगों की जो है, डेमोक्रेटिक डिजायर, वो बदलने की जरूरत है जनता के स्तर पर. उसका हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि लोग भी इसकी जरूरत देखें, वरना हम सिर्फ किसी मिनिस्टर या किसी कमिश्नर के साथ काम करें या किसी प्रिंसिपल या किसी टीचर के साथ काम करें, वो टिकाऊ नहीं होगी। वो फिर उस प्रिंसिपल या उस मिनिस्टर के साथ जब वो चले जाएंगे तो सब कुछ चला जाएगा, जब तक कि जनता ना उसकी जरूरत महसूस करे।
आपने जब आपका स्कूल शुरू किया 1988 में, इतना यूनिक स्कूल है, एंड बिलीव मी जब मैंने उसके बारे में पढ़ा है, वाज लाइक इन्होंने आपको कितने लोगों ने आके बोला कि ये आप क्या कर रहे हो, ये फीजिबल नहीं होने वाला है ये स्कूल? हाउ मेनी पीपल केम अप टू यू? बिकॉज पीपल आर ऑलवेज देयर टू कमेंट बट नोबडी सीज अ विजन, सो प्लीज डू टेल अस अबाउट दैट.
Yeah, so I would go around asking people before starting any project, what do you think? In most cases, they would say this is not possible. They would give their inputs, which I would happily take. But the not possible part, I would take inspiration from this Hindi kahawat, suno sabki, karo apni. So, and then, yes, when you do it with a strong volition and desire, it works finally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it had to take so much guts to start a school and then to take it to this level. Definitely आपने इसको बहुत अच्छे से follow किया है कि सुनो सबकी और करो खुद की. How are students doing there? What are the new innovations they are up to? Just give us a little bit of just hints so that world would know about it.
Well, right now, the new batch has just started coming. We had to close because of the pandemic, so there's nothing new happening right now. But at our alternative university, we have had students online and also offline, and they are working on various mud bricks that can be mass produced very cheaply and are insulating at the same time as they are affordable. And they use, one thing we are working right now is a new material, not really new, it's ancient, but a new usage of building material made with the mix of a very fine clay with straw. Yeah, so straw reinforced clay doesn't sound as glamorous as fiber reinforced plastic, FRP, or carbon fiber, but the principle, believe me, is the same. Fiber reinforced clay. If I call it FRC, maybe it sounds better. So the fiber in this case is rice straw that comes from Punjab, where it would have been burnt otherwise, polluting the whole region of central and north India, polluting Delhi and so on. We are rescuing all that straw and bringing them to Ladakh, loaded with high density material like steel and cement, so that the transportation doesn't cause pollution or even cost. It almost comes free because we are matching with high density material that would hardly occupy any space in the trucks, and they get here rescued from burning in Punjab and polluting Punjab, and then here they become building blocks that are so insulating that they cut pollution a second time by making Ladakhi houses not use fire for heating. So it cuts pollution in Punjab, it cuts pollution in Ladakh, and it becomes a building material that is eternally reusable. So in 100 years, if the owner wants to change the house, all they have to do is mix water, reshape it, and build again for next 200 years. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I was thinking, आपके दिमाग में innovation मतलब ये कैसे आते हैं कि we should start doing these things, because this is actually kind of inexpensive and it is great for the environment. So that's another bonus to it. Another question, obviously, I have to ask you, because it is such a genius innovation, is ice stupa. And for the people who don't know, Ladakh is completely dependent on snowfall for water consumption, because वहाँ बारिश नहीं होती इतनी, and because of climate change and everything going around in the world, the glaciers started, melting soon. And so you came up with ice stupa, like. People would not even think about it. And if you haven't seen it, you have to go and at least watch a YouTube video on it. It's mind blowing. I'm glad it got the global recognition. But what was I know the inspiration, it came from the water consumption and water, shortage in Ladakh, where people literally started fighting for water. But where did it come from? Like, how did you think of, using those old thorn plants and trees and making it into this huge artificial glacier? Please do tell us.
Well, it's an ancient tradition or an art, maybe hundreds of years old. I grew up hearing about something that our ancestors did, although the science behind it is hardly understood. So, inspired by that and inspired by some other Ladakhi people, like somebody called Abba Norfelle, who was playing with the idea of freezing the water in winter so that it can stay till springtime. So what it is that in Ladakh, in winter there is no farming, it's so cold. So a little water that flows in the streams keeps flowing in winter without being used at all. It just joins the Indus River and then finally gets to the Arabian Sea. Okay, but in springtime when people really need water, farming starts and there is only a trickle in the stream and there are conflicts around water. We are dependent on snow and glaciers. Glaciers are these ancient snow collections, snow fields, which are hundreds of years old. But they melt only in July and August. So in between, May and June are a critical time when you need water and there is no water. So that's when I came up with the idea of making cones of ice that are made in winter when it is very, very cold anyway and freezing is easy. But because of the geometric shape of a cone, which has low surface area for the volume, it lasts till late into the spring, without melting like other ice and snow, which goes away by March prematurely because we need it in May and June. So with this conical shape, the geometry works in a way that there's minimum surface area for the sun to melt it and maximum volume for the farmers to get. And that makes it last till May and June when it slowly melts and the water is available for trees and for farms. So that's the idea, but the idea is really not very complicated. It comes from like middle school science, and maths, which says shapes like spheres, hemispheres, and cones have low surface area for the given volume. That's what it uses. And thereby it doesn't melt in the summer sun or spring sun. The other idea is while making it, we don't use any power or fuel or pollution or nothing. We use only gravity, again using a middle school science principle that water maintains its level always. Very simple principle, but when you use it in a pipe that you put upstream, because in the mountains there is always an upstream and downstream. So if you put a pipe upstream and bring it down to a desert where you want to green the desert, the pipe is under pressure with the water inside wanting to go to the level of the inlet. And with this pressure, you just put a fountain which sprays the water up into the -20 air. There it loses its what we call latent heat. Ninth grade science, mostly memorized and written in exams, but not much more. But here it comes handy and makes the water that went up like 100 feet on its own by gravity without a pump, and it is made to lose its latent heat again by the natural cold air, no machines, no power, and then falls down and freezes in the shape of a cone, which doesn't melt till late spring. So that's the simple idea that works.
Well, you make it sound very simple, but it is, like you said, even I must have like just memorized and written all these things and never thought of applying it anywhere in my life. So I think that's exactly what the difference is, where you taught us to just don't ratto, but understand what you are actually learning in school. So that's another, I think it's a genius thing. Coming on a lighter topic, obviously, when people go and visit Ladakh, all they do is just eat Maggie, which is so sad. Local Ladakhi food is also amazing. Please do educate us. What all you guys like grow there, and what can people experience when they come there?
Oh, yes, that's so sad to get these noodles of fine flour, not good for your gut, over thousands of kilometers, and then eat in this place that's known for health foods of all kinds. Yeah. So, yes, can you hear me? I can hear you. Hmm? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? So anyway, yeah, I'll continue because I'm recording separately from you. So anyway, it will work. So Ladakh has many health foods like barley. High altitude barley would be one of the most nutritious things you could ever have. And there are instant foods much faster than Maggie. There are like magic foods in Ladakh. Barley flour is the only flour that you can eat just like flour, and it's so good. It's already roasted, cooked. So it's amazing to eat it directly. If you just put it in hot water with some salt and butter, it becomes an instant soup, a barley soup. And if you add, like Ladakhis add, dried cheese and peas, it becomes delicious. You can add mushroom and other things also. But unfortunately, these are very special secrets of the Ladakhi people. And we are trying to get it out, these best kept secrets of Ladakhi travelers, to the people through enterprises around our alternative university. So in a year or two, you may see packed health foods that are 2 minutes and are not damaging to your health. They are actually like tonics for you in a place like Ladakh. Yeah, so these are what we eat, what we have eaten, and what our travelers would eat and move on the Silk Route. Similarly, you have momos, which have become now a world phenomenon. That's a traditional food of the Ladakhi people. Noodles, of course, and many such things. Yes.
Yeah. So I hope when people go and visit Ladakh, they definitely do not eat that 2 minute instant noodle, but rather just experience the whole Ladakhi food and barley, like you said, um, which is, yes, I have read about this that you guys have low altitude barley there. What do Ladakhis do for entertainment? Like, what do you do for entertainment? Because I know we've been trying to talk to you. The network is so bad where everybody wants to detox from internet. I think you guys are automatically detoxing yourself from the internet. So tell me, what do you guys do for entertainment?
As we speak, I can hear the drums from downstairs in the big hall. Our students are dancing to traditional drumming, and without any, professional players or singers on YouTube or radio or television making you feel inferior about your skills. So they dance to their own drum beats and feel great, not inferior to anybody. So yeah, they have a lot of fun drumming away and dancing away.
That's nice. That's nice. That's good to know. Let's talk about two of your moments. One is I Live Simply moment, where I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where you tell people to do simple things, which is as simple. What are those one, two, three, or anything which is coming to your mind which people should do in I Live Simply moment and participate in this moment at least?
So first of all, why we started this I Live Simply movement. Yeah, we have been for 30 years building solar heated houses that do not emit anything or do not pollute in any way. But that's just us doing in our small area. Then we have tried to solve the climate change issues like glaciers melting with artificial glaciers. But that also can solve the problem for few years, but then soon we'll have no glaciers left if the world goes on with business as usual. So therefore we thought it's not just local action, we also have to have a global appeal. That's when on Gandhiji's birth anniversary last time, we launched a global movement to appeal to the world to please live simply so we may simply live in the mountains, yeah? To the people in the big cities. And it's important that they change their lifestyle and behavior so that climate change slows down or stops and our glaciers do not melt away. So therefore this I Live Simply was launched, but rather than just a lecture or a call, we thought we should make a game out of it. So if you go to ilivesimply.org, you will see an interesting crowdfunding campaign, which is actually crowdfunding not money, because the planet doesn't need money. It needs behavior change. It's a crowdfunding of pledges for the planet. But your pledges are equated into dollars, and thereby you could be contributing equivalent of dollars, or you could say green dollars or Ladakh dollars without spending any money. So if you promise to say, take bicycles as much as possible compared to your car, you could be contributing the equivalent of $500. For example, if you decide you would take trains instead of aeroplanes, similar amount of donation to the environment in pledges. If you decide you won't eat meat and eat vegetables, then you are making a great pledge worth many dollars. Yeah. So similarly, all kinds of pledges can be made, or what now I'm linking to the new movement, to boycott these cheap Chinese goods that are flooding your markets and that are killing your industries locally in your area, and you become dependent on a nation that you can't rely on. So we say, if you pledge that you won't engage in mindless consumerism and buy cheap goods that break down and fill your house and fill the landfills, rather than buying 10 pairs of cheap shoes from such a country, why don't you buy 3 pairs of very well made crafted, handcrafted pairs of shoes? So these are pledges you can make and contribute to the planet, not to an organization, not in real dollars, but in green pledged dollars. Yeah. So that's I Live Simply. Yeah.
Wow,
So
what a wonderful idea. Yeah. I've already pledged two in my mind right now. I will go and do that on ilivesimply.org, right? Is that the website? Yeah, I'm going to do it. Let's talk about your other moment, which is boycott Chinese goods, where you've asked people to use wallet power and not that. What is the idea behind it? What is this wallet power you're talking about? So can you tell us about that?
Okay. Okay, so China has been behaving very irresponsibly, especially of late with COVID handling, and how it has been unapologetic and arrogant actually to pick up fights with so many nations. And for me, what is most serious is with my own region in Ladakh, aggression, killing of soldiers. So instead of only dealing with it militarily, we should actually deal with it economically at personal level, not wait for the government to levy sanctions, but personal economic sanctions on a rowdy, rogue nation. And that's what your wallets become a great weapon for. It's your wallets, people, which made China what it became today, rich and powerful and arrogant. So the same wallets can bring it down and make it talk of peace also to the peace tables, but only if we are determined and if we use the ethical point of view. Just like we said no to child labor, we don't buy things that are made with child labor because it's not just price tag. It's not that it's cheaper so we buy. Similarly, we also don't buy things that involve cruelty to animals. We have already done that in the past. How about doing it for humans? How about cruelty to human beings in Tibet, in Uyghur, Xinjiang, and the whole population? 1.4 billion people in China are treated like bonded laborers. How about adding that to the list of child labor and cruelty to animal, and not buy and encourage such a regime which ultimately wants total control on the world? Because if we keep sponsoring this nation, I'm sure there'll be a time when other nations in the world say enough is enough and go to war, and that will be the third world war. Instead of waiting for that, why not, bring it down with your wallet power? So if you could learn more about this on my YouTube. There's a video called Help Me Change China. And there's another one about BMIC virus, boycott made in China virus. This explains, and I would like to request your listeners to share it as much as possible in your region, in your country, so that this is not a movement just in India. It may have started in India, but its impact will be felt only when most citizens of the world really come on board, and that's when China will start talking sense and, mending its ways. And it's very much in the hands of the citizens. Let's not wait for, a government to take an action.
Yeah. So people, you can definitely go to YouTube and you can see a lot of his videos where he talks about this moment, where he talks about other moments as well. But right now, if you're interested in this, go. Your recent videos about Tarchit. Oh my God, what a gorgeous place it is. I was like, I have to go to this place. That's the beauty of YouTube, and that's the beauty of technology, where you connect with us and, we can see all these lovely, lovely places sitting at our homes. Tell me, before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you this. बचपन का कोई ऐसा project है जो you thought you wanted to do it, but you still have that in your mind कि मैं करूँगा कभी पूरा?
Yes. Oh, my biggest vision, I would say, is to bring glory back to India. The glory of its ancient wisdom and ethos that were world leading, that were leading the world in a nice and harmonious and ecologically sound way. Today we have fallen for cheap, principles of economics, which is mindless consumerism and productionism, which is not leaving us happy at the end and actually destroying the whole planet. So I would like, the simplicity that we stressed in India, that, like Buddha said, for a human being, a greater achievement is to conquer a single desire than to fulfill 1,000 desires. That kind of philosophy should guide our path on this planet. That's when there'll be happiness and harmony. So I would like to bring back that glory and that confidence in the nation.
Wow, amazing. I think that is my dream as well, to at least contribute something to the earth, Mother Nature, or the environment, to do something better. There are people who don't take climate change very seriously. They don't understand the subject. What do you want to tell them? If you've given just one sentence, anything you want to just tell them?
No, I think if we don't take the climate and the planet seriously, it won't also take us seriously, and we'll be removed from the planet like mosquitoes from a fly from a cup of water. So it's better in our interest to understand how things play, that they are more complex than just me and myself attitude that we often carry. That we are not us alone, and we are not even human beings alone. We are a lot of other species on this planet, and all of them have a right to this planet.
Yeah, absolutely. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I'm so honored to talk to you because we have talked about pretty much everything I wanted to ask you. And I hope that, not only Ladakh, but also India sees the moment you have started and contribute in it, and we can all take it forward. Thank you so much for talking to us and taking this time out. I know it was not easy with the network and everything, but thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, all the listeners. Please do take action and take charge of things around you. Thank you.